The Washington Capitals have made some changes this offseason as they hope to return to the playoffs. Dan Holme of Locked On Caps has it all covered for you next on the Locked On NHL 2023-2024 season preview. Gil Martin here. The NHL season is now less than a week away, and Locked On season preview coverage continues as we welcome in Dan Holme of Locked On Capitals to detail everything you need to know about the Washington Capitals ahead of the 2023-2024 season. Dan, great to have you here. And what would you say is the biggest story surrounding the Capitals heading into this season?
If they can get a better production out of all the different players that are on this team, as we know, the Capitals missed the playoffs for the first time since 2014. I think with Spencer Carbery as the new head coach, they might be headed in the right direction.
And what is it that he brings to the table that's going to be different from the philosophy we saw last year, for example?
The biggest thing is that I think there is a mandate to win a Stanley Cup, of course, but also to finally bring along a lot of the youth that the previous coaches before him did not. Peter Laviolette and Barry Trotz and Reardon. There was some reluctance to bring along some of the young players, and we know that Spencer Carbery has a rapport, being that he was the head coach of the Hershey Bears and the ECHL Stingrays as well.
Okay, that's definitely a change in philosophy. Mm-hmm. What would you say was the team's most significant offseason move and why?
Spencer Carbery, for sure. If we take a look at what was done at free agency, not a lot. Max Pacioretty, Joel Edmondson, but Spencer Carbery was running the number 2 power play in all of the NHL. So he is a guy that has killed it at every level that he's been at as a coach. I have no reason to believe that he will do anything less with his job in the NHL. This is his first time being a head coach in the NHL, but the bar is set really high, and I think that he's up for the task.
I know this is probably an obvious question, but let's see if I get an obvious answer. Who figures to be the most important player on your team this season, and what makes them so crucial to the team's success?
Alex Ovechkin, of course. Alex is the captain, and as Ovi goes, so goes the Capitals. Alex has 42 goals last season and is showing no signs of slowing down. He turned 38 years old on Sunday. He has a career 822 career goals. He needs just 73 goals to break Wayne Gretzky's record.
Not that anyone's counting or anything.
Right.
Dan, how do you think Ovechkin will adjust to this philosophy of making this team around him significantly younger?
I think that it's what is needed. I think that we've heard about a long time, this youth that's on this team. So to finally get the contributions of a Connor McMichael, who's been a name that we've heard, but also fellow Russian countryman Ivan Miroshnichenko, I think that he is fixing to be almost like an Alex Ovechkin 2.0. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he looked pretty good setting up those one-timers from Ovi's office at the left dot.
All right, some hope there. Mm-hmm. Who would you say is the potential breakout candidate on the Caps this year that people should know about?
Again, Ivan Miroshnichenko is the guy for me. And what is it about him is that he has broke through every hurdle that's been in front of him. He had that non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He got passed over by a lot of different teams at the draft. And Ross Mahoney, who was in charge of scouting, looked at him, and he was so skinny. He had lost so much weight in the offseason. He put on that weight. He was able to terminate his contract with the KHL, put on that weight, and I think that he is poised to be with the AHL Hershey Bears, but I think there is a distinct possibility that he could be on the big team, the Capitals, this year. He is playing that well.
And how do you think he adjusts to the narrower rink and the North American style of play?
I think he'll do just fine. I have seen some footage from the rookie camp, and I know that is a small sample size, but I think from the footage that I've seen, I think he will play just fine. He seems to adapt and overcome any adversity that's in his way. Again, I think that this might be the year for him, and as a Capitals fan, I'm excited about that.
So what does a successful season look like for the Caps, and what's at stake if that's not achieved?
Making it to the playoffs. Like I said, they missed the playoffs for the first time since 2014, and the fan base and people of Washington D.C. they accept nothing but success. And I think that for the Capitals not to make it to the playoffs this year was a bit surprising in certain aspects, and in other regards not, just because of all the injuries that they faced. And what happens if they don't make it to the playoffs? Well, ultimately, I know that the answer is I think they're going to shake everything up. But there were certain promises made to Alex Ovechkin that he would stay on a competitive team. He has 3 years left of his deal. So I don't see anything earth shaking happen, even if they don't make it to the playoffs. I think what you will see is some plug and play of some different players that they might pick up during the season. But I think that ultimately they want to have success on this team. But in the same breath, I don't see anything earth-shattering happen, even if they don't make it to the playoffs.
All right. Well, it should be an interesting season. Dan, thank you so much. For more on the Washington Capitals, be sure to follow Locked On Capitals on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And check out the season previews for all 32 teams across the Locked On NHL channel, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.